Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Amma ba'du fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The day was 31st of March and the year was 624. According to the Islamic calendar, 15th of Shawwal, the third year after Hijrah. It was the day when Muslims had to fight the Quraysh from Makkah, and the army of the Quraysh was extremely powerful, while the Muslim army was not ready in the sense that they did not have proper war equipment with them. Their numbers were very few in comparison to the Quraysh. I'll come back to 31st of March 624 in a bit. When we study the history of Islam and the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we realize that there were two different types of attacks made against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There were physical attacks, and then there were attacks against his character. So the enemies of Islam, on one hand, would physically try to assassinate Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and on the other hand, they would try to assassinate his character at the same time. Both of these points are very important. Now let's go back to the 31st of March 624. It was in the afternoon. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had appointed 50 archers to guard a specific point in the field of Uhud by mounting them on a mountaintop, a small mountain, Dara. They had to guard it, and that was at the rear of the Muslim army. 50 archers. Now let's go to the battlefield itself, and let's see what's happening there. A brave soldier from the Quraysh's side, from the enemy side. His name was Abdullah bin Quma. He is fighting a young companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whose name was Hazrat Musab bin Umair radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Hazrat Musab bin Umair resembled in his physical appearance with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abdullah bin Quma attacked Hazrat Musa bin Umair, who was the flag bearer of Islam. He was holding the alam. So he attacks Hazrat Musa bin Umair, and Hazrat Musa bin Umair loses his right arm. So Hazrat Musa bin Umair did not let the flag fall to the ground. He picked it up and held it with the left hand. Abdullah bin Quma then attacked from the left side, severing the left arm as well. Hazrat Musa bin Umair somehow managed to uphold the flag between his chest muscles. Upon which Abdullah bin Quma once again attacked him and killed him right there and then. Another Sahabi was nearby who saw what was happening, came running forward and picked up the flag of Islam. Because Hazrat Musa bin Umair resembled Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam physically a lot, Abdullah bin Quma started yelling at the top of his lungs, saying, "I have killed Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I have killed Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam." Hearing this and not being able to verify this, the Muslim army became divided into three factions. They became divided into three factions. I'll tell you in a bit what those three factions did, how they reacted to this news. Let me tell you how Muslims came to this point. Muslims were winning the battle. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw a weak spot, which was at the rear end of the Muslim army. So he told 50 archers that were under the command of a Sahabi of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said, come what may, do not leave this spot. No matter what you see happening in the battlefield, do not leave this spot. So this companion, along with 49 others, stood guard. And because they were protecting the Muslim army from the rear side, the enemy did not dare attack Muslims from the rear end. But then when Muslims were winning the battle, these 50 archers, they saw that Muslims have practically won the battle. And they thought, now is the time for us to go and take care of, whatever is happening on the ground. We've won the battle. There is no need for us to stay on this mountain anymore. The companion who was appointed as an officer over the rest, he said to others, don't leave your post. This would be going against the directive of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They said, this is not what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam surely meant. He must have meant that, while the Muslim army is in danger, do not leave this spot, protect it. But now we won the battle. Surely now it is safe. And majority of those archers left their spot and joined their brothers in the battlefield. 6 or 7 of them remained. From a distance, there was a man who was watching all of this. His name was Khalid ibn al-Walid, who later accepted Islam and became a companion. He saw what had just happened, and he found the golden opportunity. He gathered some of his troops that rallied behind him. They went around the army, the Muslim army. First, they assassinated the 6-7 companions that were on the mountaintop, and then they attacked the Muslim army from behind. Amr ibn al-As with his men also followed along. This caused a panic among the Muslim ranks. Now the Muslims were being attacked from the front as well as from behind. Somebody from among the Quraysh yelled out, we're being attacked from the sides as well. Again, without verifying the information, the Muslim soldiers panicked and they started attacking. It was a mistake, but they started attacking left, right, and center, ending up martyring some of their own men, not realizing what was happening. One can only imagine the state of chaos that was there. In that situation, Hazrat Musa bin Umair is killed. And Abdullah bin Quma yells out at the top of his lungs, I have killed Muhammad. I have killed Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. At that point, the Muslim army became divided into three factions. The first part, or the first faction, left the battlefield and ran to Medina. And quickly the people in Medina heard this news that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been martyred. And there was a chaos in the city itself. The second group left the battlefield, went to a side and just sat down, put down their arms and said, there is no point fighting anymore. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has died. And there was a third faction that kept on fighting. And these were the individuals. Some of them were fighting individually elsewhere, and a group of some of those Sahaba were fighting around Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because he was still alive. In that moment, there was a Sahabi of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His name was Anas bin Nadar Ansari radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He came and he saw some of the companions who were just sitting on one side. And this group included Hazrat Umar al-Faruq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. They were just sitting on one side. They had given up their arms. And he said, what are you guys doing? They said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has died. There's no point fighting anymore. He said, if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has become martyred, what point is there now left for us to be alive anymore? He said this and started running towards the enemy ranks, piercing through the enemy ranks, and he fought till his last breath. At the end of the battle, when his body was found. It has 80 wounds on it. And the only way he was recognized was because of a finger of his. His sister was able to recognize that that is the dead body of her brother. Another companion, Hazrat Abu Dajjana, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he was protecting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with his own body. Same man who had killed Hazrat Musa bin Umar, Abdullah bin Quma, saw that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is still alive and Muslims are trying to protect. So he came forward in order to attack Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. First, a Muslim lady that had accompanied the Muslim army saw this, picked up a sword and started running towards Abdullah bin Quma so that he is not able to reach Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She attacks him, but her attack was not that strong. He attacks her back, wounding her, and then goes towards Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he launches an attack. But first, Hazrat Abu Dajjana protected Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then another Sahabi, Ansari Sahabi, Talha, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, protected Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with his own body. And because of that, the attack from Abdullah bin Quma was not powerful enough to hit Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a way that he could cause some severe damage. But it pushed Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to a point where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam fell to the ground. Again, Abdullah bin Quma, thinking he has assassinated Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yelled, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been killed by his hands. Sahaba quickly picked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam up. There were arrows coming at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Talha radiyallahu ta'ala anhu had nothing else to defend Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so he would place his hand in front of the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam does not get hurt. And in the process, his hand was martyred. Haath shaheed ho gaya unka. At one point, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Is there anyone who would be willing to lay down their life for the sake of Allah the Almighty?" Hazrat Ziyad radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, another Ansari companion, came forward and he brought along 5 or 6 more individuals who were residents of Medina, Ansar Sahaba, with him. And down to the last one of them, all of them fought until their last breath. And they were martyred, defending Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, protecting him. When the battle was done, Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Bring Ziyad to me." There was still some breath left in Hazrat Ziyad radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Sahaba carried him and brought him to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Mustering some strength, Hazrat Ziyad looked at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and in a very loving manner, he placed his face at the feet of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he died right there and then. This is how the Sahaba protected Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with their own lives. Remember, I said that there were 2 types of attacks: physical and verbal, against the blessed character of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abu Rafi, Ka'b bin Ashraf, these were, just to name a few, some individuals who would try to assassinate the character of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then from the Sahaba side, companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would try to defend the character of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Verbally, of course. Whatever the nature of the attack was, the defense was similar in nature. If the attack was physical, the defense had to be physical. If the attack was verbal, then the defense had to be verbal as well. All the losses that the Muslims had to face in Ghazwa Uhud was because some Muslims thought we don't need to do anything anymore. We don't need to do anything anymore. This was the mindset that ultimately costed so many Sahaba their lives in the battlefield of Uhud. Recently on social media, Elon Musk, the world's richest man, has been going after the Muslims in Western countries. Not just in Western countries, but in Muslim countries as well. Without commenting on the religious affinities or the lack thereof of Mr. Musk, what I want to highlight is the fact that Islam is being attacked. In the UK, he is highlighting the South Asian, Muslim, Pakistani grooming gangs that are physically, sexually assaulting young children, including women, in the UK. And he's painting the picture that this is an Islamic problem. Even though Islam teaches that rape is a capital crime. Islam, a religion that doesn't even allow men to shake hands with non-related women. Can that religion ever endorse sexual abuse against women or children, or against anyone for that matter? Absolutely not. Yet, this is what is being alleged on social media. Geert Wilders. He is a political leader coming out of Europe and very likely to become the Prime Minister or President of Denmark at some point. He recently tweeted, he said, "I don't care, you crazy and sick Islamists, what you send me and how many times you threaten to kill me. I will keep criticizing totalitarian Islam and your so-called Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam until my last breath on earth." This man is about to become a prime minister or president, whatever it is, of one of the European countries. There are allegations against the marriages of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on social media. Just earlier today, I saw a video of a Muslim apostate, a man who used to be Muslim, left Islam, became a Christian, and alleging many things against the blessed character of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the religion of Islam. He says Islam, during the lifetime of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, during the last 10 years of his life, more than 80 wars were waged by him. So how can Muslims claim that Islam is a peaceful religion? What he conveniently forgets to mention is that every single one of those wars were fought in defense. The war was waged against the Muslims, and Muslims retaliated. And yet somehow, those who were defending are now being labeled as the oppressors. But until and unless you know your history, you know Islam's history, you will not be able to answer these questions, these allegations online or elsewhere. What is at stake if we don't study? What is at stake if we do not respond to these allegations that people are making online and elsewhere? I'll tell you what is at stake. The narrative is becoming anti-Islamic very rapidly, because not that many Muslims are standing up against what is happening. None of the Muslim monarchs from Muslim countries stood up and spoke for Palestine. They're kings, they have armies, billions and billions of dollars and weapons, modern weapons at their disposal. None of them had the guts, the spine, the courage to stand up and speak for Palestine. You know who did? Our Khalifa. He is addressing every single Friday sermon he's addressing these issues. But we won't know the answers because are we watching his khutbah? One day I gave a sermon in which I spoke about how Hazur has been warning about the World War III that could happen at any point. One member of the congregation walked up to me and said, I've been recently thinking about this. How amazing is this? And I was shocked. I was like, our Khalifa has been speaking on this issue since before 2008. It showed me that our members weren't properly listening to the khutbah of our Imam. And last but not least, Hazrat Aqdas Masih Maud ﷺ has stated, if you're sleeping at night peacefully, it means you're not bothered by what's happening against Islam in the world. A man who is disturbed, a man who's not at peace, first thing he loses is his sleep. किसी को परेशानी हो, सबसे पहले चीज जो उससे खोई जाती है वो उसकी नींद होती है, उसको सुकून होता है. अगर रात को हम आराम से सुकून के साथ सो रहे हैं ना, तो इसका ये मतलब है कि इस्लाम के खिलाफ जो हमले हो रहे हैं, हमें उससे कोई परेशानी नहीं होती. We are not bothered one bit by it. And that's the sorry state of affairs. We should be able to go online and defend Islam and defend the blessed character of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You need references? I'm here for that. You need any help? I'm here for that. You need any guidance on this issue? I'm here for that. Khudam al-Ahmadiyya, earlier, I think yesterday or earlier today, started a campaign, Majlis Ansar Sultan al-Qalam, to defend Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam online against these character assassination attempts. So I encourage all the Khudam and Ansar and the Lajna side to take up this jihad. Where our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is being attacked verbally, respond back. Defend Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam by presenting the facts. Also keeping in mind that our character needs to be in upright standing. If we are cheats, if we ourselves are frauds, we will be the cause of bringing shame and bad name to the religion of Islam. So make sure that we don't do what others are alleging Muslims in general to be doing. Masih Maud alayhi salam stated in Dur Samin, मेरे सुकमो ऐब से अब कीजिए कते नज़र, ता न हो खुश दुश्मने दी जिस पे है लानत की मार. Similarly, Hazrat Muslim Maud रज़ियल्लाहु ताला अन्हु has stated, हम तो जिस तरह बने काम किए जाते हैं, आपके वक्त में ये सिलसिला बदनाम ना हो. Promised Messiah ﷺ has stated in his poetry, referring to Allah the Almighty, beseeching His help, saying, "O Allah, please forgive and overlook my shortcomings. Let it not become a cause for the enemy to become happy." And Hazrat Muslim Maud, his second Khalifa, has stated, we in our time have been able to render service by whatever means possible. You make sure that in your time, Islam is not defamed. Now is the time for me and all of you to stand up and make sure that in our time, on our watch, Islam and our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are not defamed. May Allah Ta'ala give me and all of you the ability to truly defend Islam and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this day and age and in every age. Ameen wa akhiru dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.